Quail, it's what's for dinner. At least if my guest has anything to say about what's on your dinner plate. This special episode here at the holiday time of the Business of Agriculture. We're talking specialty crop, specialty agriculture, and quail. Are you looking for productive efficiencies in growing higher yielding, better performing crops? New Fields Ag provides a complete portfolio of biological products focused on you, the farmer. Visit newfieldsag.com for more information to help you farm better. Hey there, welcome to another fantastic episode of the Business of Agriculture. I got a great one for you today. Her name is Brittney Miller. She is a South Carolina quail producer. I got the pitch on this and I said, this is absolutely cool to do this at the holiday time. It's specialty agriculture. It's kind of a niche. It's a little bit off the beaten path. And she is the second generation in this endeavor. The rough, quick numbers are produce more than 80,000 quail weekly without antibiotics or hormones, and then shipping these premium products to chefs, retailers, and home cooks across the country. We're going to dig into the production. We're going to dig into the processing, the business model, and the future. Maybe you've never even eaten quail. I have, but I got to tell you, I shot them in the field. So, Ms. Brittney, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
So I've been to your website. Manchester Farms is the name of the entity. You are in Columbia, South Carolina. You are a South Carolinian native?
Yes. Born and raised in Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay, great, wonderful. They have an ag school down there known as Clemson. You might be familiar with that place.
Yep, I graduated from Clemson with a degree in ag.
Perfect, fantastic. So you're the second generation. Give me the history, and then we're going to talk about the production of Manchester Farms.
Manchester basically is the all-American dream that started in a backyard. My dad is a hunter, quail hunter, and he graduated from Clemson with a degree in poultry science and went to work for Campbell's Soup early in the late 60s and early 70s and helped them raise their chickens more naturally and happier and healthier without the use of antibiotics. And they wanted to promote him to New Jersey. And he's lived in South Carolina all of his life and is a huge hunter. And they flew him up there, and he walked into a cubicle and said, "How long is the hunting season?" And they said, 2 weeks. And he said, "Thanks for your time," and left. And so he knew at that point that he wanted to be on his own. He's a quail hunter, and he had his own small flock of birds that he would train his bird dogs with. And he had
a small flock of birds that he would do what?
Train his bird dogs with. So when you quail hunt,
he was already producing quail, but it was really it was the gentleman thing. Like, I'm doing this to train my bird dogs because when we get to hunting season, I'm going to go out into the field and I want to have great bird dogs. So
that's right.
And he had a poultry science degree. Obviously, he knows how to produce birds. That's cool.
That's right. Yeah. And so we got too many of them, and the neighbors basically said, if you dress them, butcher them, we'll buy them. So hatched Manchester Farms and the picnic table in our backyard in the early 70s, late 60s. And so it's the all-American dream. Now we're second generation, and we sell nationwide for food service and retail customers and ship mail order, and have 100 employees and just living on the wild side over here in the bird business.
So here you are 40 plus years ago, 50 years ago, let's say, and you're doing this, your dad's doing this thing. And then is he quit corporate? And it's like, I've got to get this thing going. So there's a little pressure on you. I did the same thing. I quit corporate, and people said, what do you got going? I said, well, I have 3 comedy gigs lined up. And they said, for how much? I said, I'll total about $2,000 of revenue. And they said, aren't you scared? And I said, I'll be fine. So yeah. I appreciate
I'll figure it out.
Quitting corporate and not having a whole hell of a lot going on. But so then owned acreage, went out and bought. So talk about the early expansion.
So it started in Sumter, and it basically was a small house, a poultry house. So quail are small. Baby chicks are about the size of your thumb. So you have to protect them from hawks and owls and cats and dogs, and even fire ants will eat baby chicks. And so there's a lot of predators. So you do have to protect them. And they started out with one little barn, and then they started selling grocery stores, just whole birds butchered. And they did that for a few years, and then it started to catch on around the public. And then the chefs found out about it and asked if he could debone them. And so then they were like, well, this is kind of getting serious. So they built a little processing plant, and they flew to Europe because quail are eaten all over the world. And I think the US is probably the last to get on the plate about it, but flew to France and found out how they butcher them there. So they're semi-boneless. So they lay flat on the plate and knife and fork friendly for high-end chefs. And so that's when they went into a commercial operation just in this little town outside of Sumter. And then worked the marketplace doing food shows, the distributor food shows, and getting with distributors and just spreading the gospel. And it's grown to that point to where we are now.
This is fantastic. So, all right, let's go to about the production aspect of it. Again, I'm in my Arizona house right now. I've got I got Gamble's quail out here in my backyard. I put out a bird seed block, which is like a salt block, but it's compressed bird seed, and the quail hit it, and the doves. It's beautiful. But the birds you're raising are more probably a Bob White, which is like an eastern, southeastern native bird, or are they completely a commercial breed? Is it, in other words, if you compared, the ducks at a commercial duck operation to the pintails or or the mallards on your pond, it would be a completely different thing. Tell me about the birds.
So typically what hunters hunt in the wild are Bob White, and that's what my dad started with. He then decided to switch over to a Pharaoh quail, which descends from Egypt. And
hence the name Pharaoh, like King Tut kind of thing. All right.
Exactly. And we had a rabbi come down and bless our farm kosher, and he was looking at the birds and he started crying. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "These are literally the holy quail, Brittney." I'm like, "How do you know?" And he said, "Well, you can tell by the toes." And so these are descendants from the Bible, from Egypt. And
interesting. Okay. So did you made the switch? Presumably, most livestock decisions got made because of production or productive capacity or efficiency. Did you switch from a Bob White style bird to the Pharaoh because they hold up better in confinement, or because they gain weight, they taste better? What's the reason?
The Bob White quail that bird is pretty skittish, and it's a very nervous bird. And even if you shut the door too hard, half of them would die of a heart attack right there. And so they were just, they back in the beginning, those birds needed antibiotics. They just weren't as hardy and healthy.
Yeah. So the Bob White, while they might have tasted fine, et cetera, and that's what you go hunting, but the domestic ones that you're raising, when they're a nervous animal doesn't gain very well, and like you said, then they die.
Yeah. So you just want a bird that's happy and healthy. We try to give a stress-free life to our creatures. We feed them a diet that we would even eat for ourselves, including probiotics. So you just want happy, healthy birds, because if you have a stressed out animal in any factor, the enzymes are going to translate into the flavor of the meat and the health of the health of the animal. So we've been raising Pharaoh quail for 53 years now. So I'm 54, and Manchester's been around for 54 years. And so the first year they used Bob Whites. But now we're Pharaohs.
So, okay, we're going to stick on production. I want to get to the diet that you do, because I think this is absolutely fascinating to me. So the diet, and then I want to talk about the production, and then the processing, and then obviously the promotion, the business side of it. Speaking of business, if you are an agricultural producer, if you are a farmer, rancher, if you have a quail farm, if you want to build a mushroom processing facility, you might need capital, and you can't get the money from a traditional bank because it doesn't fit the template. Harvest Returns can help you. My buddy Chris Raleigh began Harvest Returns, and what he essentially did was get a pool of investors. So he's got all these investors with money that want to fund something in agriculture. If you need money to fund your agricultural operation, Harvest Returns can help. Or if you're an investor that wants to be involved in this, maybe you could deploy your money through the Harvest Returns vehicle. Go to harvestreturns.com to learn more about how you can get started with your operation expansion or with your investment. That's harvestreturns.com. Okay, from a production standpoint, you talked about the diet. I've been in commercial chicken places. I've been in egg laying facilities, et cetera, et cetera. Are these in just big old barns, and they've got feed troughs and automatic feeders with an auger that comes through, and they're just getting a grain? And is it similar to any other poultry?
Yeah, it's similar to it. Quail are small, so we take a 400-foot long barn and split them in half, and each half is considered one flock, and that's a week's production for us. And they have unlimited water, feed. The temperature is, is ambient every day, no matter what it is, indoor, outside. Like today,
What, like 75 or 80 degrees in there?
yeah, we usually just try to keep around 80 degrees in the summer or the winter.
Yeah.
And so,
And in South Carolina, if it's 95 outside, that means you're cooling with fans, or are you actually cooling with refrigerant?
we have it's a natural air conditioning. It's kind of like a swamp cooler where you put on the sidelines of the football fields where they have that water flowing through the fan and it cools it. It's a similar thing to that. It's a waffle cardboard that has water dribbling down it, and it sucks air through it. And as it sucks the air through it, passes the water, it cools it off.
So
naturally.
do you hatch these eggs, or do you bring in? Okay, so you've got incubation.
We do. Yep.
And then are you a full cycle? Are you also, you've got laying hen, Pharaoh?
We do, yeah. So we are vertically integrated. We have only used our flock from the 1970s, the first few chicks that my dad bought, or eggs actually, that he hatched. We have our own hatcher. We have our own setters. We have our own incubation. We have our own breeders, our own layers, and we have 4 grow out properties, 4 grow out farms for the meat birds, and we only have 1 contract farmer. We have the rest of it is owned by us. And
okay, and so a person that's listening to this that maybe works in cranberry processing says, "What did she just talk about?" And we'll just kind of visit that. In a lot of production models, livestock production models, say particularly poultry and pigs, the person like Brittney might be the overseer of the integration, but they will hire farmers to be contract producers. That's what Brittney was just referencing right there, just for somebody that maybe isn't familiar with how the normal, so vertical integration, but your point is you own all steps. You own the incubation, you own the hens, the laying hens, you do the brooding and all that kind of stuff. But you do have 1 contract grower that does what for you?
For meat birds. So we're in the meat business, and we're also in the egg business.
Yes.
And so when my dad started out, he had his own farms, and then he wanted, because he couldn't do everything as he was growing, he had to have extra help. And to avoid having to pay the capital of buying the farms and staffing it and all that, he contracted with everybody. And he contracted his hatchery, his breeder operation, and then also his grow out farms. And when I came on board, my brother and I bought the business from my parents. We decided at that point that we wanted to have, we felt like we could give better care. So we took the route of buying farm locations and having farm managers live on property with the birds. And, we felt like if we surrounded ourselves with passionate people, because we're for passion, not profit, if we had passionate we call each other flock members. And we felt like, they would do a great job as well. And so that's what we've been since '07. We've been company, Manchester owned farms, except for the one. That was a contract farmer that's been with us for 25 years. And he's like family. So there is production, like you said. So you said to grow meat birds. Let's go ahead and go with that. So you got these eggs that then get incubated for, I don't know, probably a couple weeks. 2 weeks, 14 days.
No, look at that. I'm not even a quail producer.
Yeah, you're good, man. You got it.
I try to be I'm a well-rounded agricultural guy. Okay, so then they hatch, like you said, these quail, the chicks are teeny.
They are, yeah.
And do they go right into the barn as soon as they hatch, or do they have to hang around for another week of getting some size, or they have a nursery?
So when you incubate an egg, it's time, temperature, and humidity. And so they go into what's called a setter first for 14 days, and then we transfer them into a hatcher, and they hatch out every Thursday. So whenever you're in South Carolina, maybe on your way to Charleston, swing in and see us on Thursday, and you'll see 80,000 baby chicks. the happiest birthday of the week.
I see. And you time it so that it always happens. You can make it so that it happens on Thursday.
Yeah, they start hatching out Wednesday night, and you want them to be nice and fluffy and dry, because when they hatch, they're wet, and so you want them to be as dry as possible, but not over dried too. In fact, we've been doing this for 50 years, so we've got this timetable of knowing when to set them and what day and what time and whatnot. And so we sort through all the chicks and make sure that for animal welfare, we make sure that they're viable and strong and healthy. And if they are not, say it has a leg issue and it can't walk to water and feed right away, we actually will call those chicks out, because you don't want them suffering out at the farm.
Yeah. So you have this is not automated. There's a human.
Oh yeah.
That looks at these chicks, 80,000 per week, right?
Yeah.
And 80,000 per week, and that I'm assuming like a sorter, if you will, looks at them and says, "This poor little chick here is not going to make it.
He's not going to make it, and we don't want him to suffer."
Yeah, so they get called, meaning they get killed, and then does that have a byproduct? Does that go into
Yes,
we try dog food or something?
We try and respect their lives and their purposes in every way as possible. So we make sure to celebrate their life and purpose, and we have a reptile people that like to. So we put them to sleep, the quail to sleep, and euthanize them that way, and we freeze them, and then they're fed to reptile companies. So the people that have lizards and snakes and whatnot, they'll feed them to the reptiles. Or we have a lot of falconeers that feed are called birds as well. Different sizes and chicks.
Who do they use it for?
So there's people that are called falconeers. They own these falcons.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's crazy. That one bird costs like $10,000. And so they want them eating something that they would find naturally in the wild. So they're not processed at all. So they still have the feathers and the internals inside. Yeah. And it's a natural thing that you put it out and they feel like they've hunted it in the wild. And
absolutely.
So,
yeah. Falconeers. That's great. Okay. From the time that they're hatched, then they go to the next phase to put on a little bit of weight before they go to the meat barn?
We get them straight to so we start sorting at 7 a.m. and at 11 o'clock, they're on the way to the farms. And the farms are about a half an hour, 15, 20 minutes away. And they go straight to the farm and they'll stay there for 6 weeks.
Okay, so the contract grower plus your own, they go as soon as they're sorted after they've hatched and dried. So on Friday sometime or Thursday afternoon, they're going to the barn and they're put into the production system right there. Yeah,
and then they have 6 weeks of fun hanging out with their buddies, and then we celebrate them again at our processing facility.
Okay, so it only takes 6 weeks from fledgling, recently hatched, to ready for process. I'm assuming 6 ounces, maybe something like that. 8 ounces.
8 ounces live weight. Yeah.
8 ounces, so half a pound live weight, and then they're on. This is an interesting question here, since I've been around a lot of different livestock operations. Do they get a different diet from day 1 to day 40? I'm assuming because they're different maturity.
That's a great question. In the poultry world, because chickens and turkeys and other longer rearing animals takes them longer to get to harvest weight, they do a starter and a finisher. The 2 different feed formulas. One's a heavier protein value, and the other one has different nutrients and vitamins. We just give our birds a starter for feed the whole time, so it's the highest value of feed.
Okay.
Their entire life. We don't change it up for them.
Okay, yeah, you don't cheapen the ration before they get old. So 6 weeks, you said, and so you're talking about 42 days. That's pretty impressive. Do we? I get it. You say no antibiotics, and that's a big one. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, they put tetracycline in the drip lines on chicken farms all over America, and it was a preventative. And then also they found out it helped them grow faster, right?
Yeah. And I did work for the dark side my first 2 years out of college.
You worked for the dark side? You worked for a large poultry
I worked for a pharmaceutical company, in animal production. And so we haven't used any traditional antibiotics on the farm in our feed, except for the one flock that the feed came in with an aflatoxin. So we just treated that one flock with antibiotics. But on the meat side of it, we cannot say antibiotic free on the label because we do use, so quail are ground birds. And
Yes.
so they would eat, grubs and stuff off the ground. And because they're ground birds, we put an anti-parasitic in their gut. It's in the feed, but it stays in the gut. It doesn't get into the blood. It doesn't get into the meat of it. It's not a systemic
Yeah.
drug. And it's not under an antibiotic class of antibiotic under FDA, but we're not able to say it because they think it's a marketing situation. So,
So therefore, you can't say organic, and you can't even say antibiotic free, because there is a product that you do put in the feed, and it's for the gut, and it's to prevent the bacterial, obviously, right?
parasites.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the processing then? So these meat birds, now you got a whole bunch of them, and you're doing 80,000 a week. This is a lot of birds to clean.
Yeah.
and they're small enough. It's probably a touch harder than chickens. A chicken, I think an average broiler is 8.5 pounds roughly.
Yeah,
8.6
yeah.
pounds, I think, is what
Yeah. Big birds.
and you guys are, a tenth of that.
Oh, yeah.
All human hands? Is there some automation?
There is a little bit of automation. Yeah. The birds are, they're hung on a shackle line, and they are stunned so that they don't feel anything. They go through a blade that cuts the jugular, and then they bleed out for like 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. And because they're small and it doesn't take long. And then they go into a scalder, which takes the feathers, softens the feathers so that they can go through the next series of machines. It's called pickers. And they're these little rubber fingers that just massage the birds and massage the feathers off.
Yeah, it's almost looks like some like an egg beater, but it's a bunch of little plastic fingers on a revolving thing, and the birds go through that.
Yeah.
Okay, it takes all the feathers off,
and it massages it without bruising the meat or tearing the skin. And then we use this equipment from Italy, and it goes in, and we used to do it all by hand, and you don't want to break the viscera package, which is the intestinal system, and get any fecal on the birds. That's the number one issue with poultry operations, chickens especially, is that the way that they process birds, the intestinal package breaks, and then they get fecal on the bird. And
then you've got to run it through a chlorine bath or something.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah. So your human hands then come in evisceration?
So we have this machine that goes in real quick, and it's like a screw, and it screws down and grabs the viscera package and pulls it out without breaking it. It sounds crazy. I was like, there's no way that's going to work, but it works. It's crazy. And so then we have another machine that has a vacuum tube, and it goes down in the carcass and gets the upper. So the birds are upside down. So it goes down and gets the hearts and the lungs and the trachea. And so, and then there's another one that cuts off the tail, which has an oil gland in it, which is USDA requirement. And then we have our own team of ladies that are called sorter trimmers, and they grade out the birds before it goes to the inspector, and then it goes through a final rinse cavity that's got more of those rotary brushes with water splashing down on it to knock off any debris, and then it goes through a final inspection with our we operate under South Carolina state inspection versus USDA, because quail are considered game birds under the world of poultry.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, so you own this facility, correct?
We do. Yeah.
You own the processing facility, just one processing facility?
That's right. Yes.
And it's nearby, and you don't have to have USDA inspection. You have South Carolina agricultural inspection.
Yeah. Under USDA, the definition of poultry does not include the species quail. So we actually fall under the world of FDA just as food. But because there's certain states in this, California, Texas, Georgia, that as a barrier to entry for other farms that are in their state, anybody coming into the state to sell has to be inspected under USDA or like inspection program. So we operate under South Carolina state.
So this, again, you're doing 80,000 quail a week. So you're doing, and you run on 5 days or 6 days?
5 days. Yeah.
Run on 5 days. So you're talking about more than 15,000 birds get processed every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How many employees are in that building that do 15,000 quail processors a day?
On the quail side of it, we process 2 days. So we do 36 and 36, 40 and 40. And on the quail side of it, we probably have around 50 people, 45, 50 people.
Fantastic. What's the other side? If there's another side to the quail
The eggs.
process? Yeah,
Eggs.
the eggs. Okay, we're
Eggs.
gonna get into eggs also. I'm fascinated by all this. And by the way, my listeners are like, "Hey, you're kind of geeking out on this," but that's okay. They are also, because this is something I'm just going to tell you that everybody's hearing this right now has never heard a quail producer talk about this business ever before. So that's the fun of this. Hey, if you're listening to this, remember also that. The Business of Agriculture has been around for 8 years, actually in our 9th year now. We got great guests. It comes out every Monday. And if you only listen to the audio, you need to watch the video. You can go to YouTube and do that, or you can go to Acres TV. While you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Just go and type in Damian Mason and hit subscribe. It's free. Our friend Brittney is going to become a subscriber after we get off this recording.
You bet.
And then I also want you to encourage you to share this with somebody that can benefit from it. You know, I've got great sponsors. I've got great audience, smart people that tune into this, and we want to keep it growing. We've had a tremendous year of growth on my YouTube channel, and we want to keep that going. Also, the companies that pay me to bring on a great production, like Redox. Redox would like you to know that you are going to probably have to cut back on your nitrogen, your applied nitrogen. There are going to be more eyeballs on you if you are a producer. You can cut back on nitrogen without cutting back on your yield with products like RDXN. RDXN from Redox Bionutrients is a unique product that allows you to reduce your nitrogen by a whole bunch and optimize it by up to 50%. You can go to redoxgrows.com to find out more. That's redoxgrows.com. And RDXN was nominated by Farm Journal as one of the best new products for agriculture in the year 2025. Go check it out, redoxgrows.com. All right, so before we get into eggs, where do they go? They're done and they're processed and they're packaged all at your facility?
Well, we have a team of about 40 people that further process our quail. So in the world of meat for us, we have whole birds and then we have value added products. So because people say they don't know, what do you do with the quail? So we produce products that make it easier for them to eat. So like our retail products are split in half and they're spread out on the grill flat. And we've actually vacuum tumbled a slight brine into it. So it's ready to go on the grill. For the chefs, we debone them. We even make like little quail knots, which are kind of like little, you know how lamb chops are, the little lollipops.
Yep.
Kind of the same thing for quail. So we even do bacon wrap quail where it's little bites. It's amazing. I'll send you some. And
I was going to ask you if I might get my hands on some quail when we get done with it. So how are most quail consumed? I'm guessing this is out of the home, meaning it's kind of like pheasant under glass, or as you said, lamb chops. If lamb chops get eaten, it's more than likely at a restaurant than it is at home. And certain cuts and certain products are more of a restaurant thing, chef prepared than home prepared. I'm guessing quail is that. Am I right?
Well, we actually sell about 50-50. 50% of it's bought in the grocery store and 50% of it's bought on a menu at a restaurant. The ones that are people buy at the grocery store, they have bones in them and but better value. And then the ones that you buy in a restaurant, we sell the high-end restaurants in New York, Las Vegas, LA, Chicago, but we also sell like barbecue restaurants that have anything that you would eat with ribs, like with your hands.
Yeah.
We sell bone-in products for them too. So it depends on kind of the style of the restaurant, decides what kind of product we have. We have about 12 products and we sell all of it frozen for the most part. We do sell fresh quail to restaurants that we ship via FedEx all over the U.S. But the birds go through the system really quick and they're quickly frozen. So the frozen product tastes just like it's fresh anyways.
Sure, right. It's flash frozen or whatever they say that.
Yeah.
Those restaurants you talked about, big city restaurants, higher end stuff. Are you shipping that directly, or does this go through distribution? Is there like some distributor that says we are the distributor that gets all the product to the 100 fanciest restaurants in New York? How's that work?
So we do sell to distributors that then in turn sell to restaurants in different marketplaces. We probably sell 300 distributors, I'd say, food service distributors. But we also have some restaurants that want that farm to table straight from the farm. Yep. So we respect their wishes as well, and we'll ship direct to them on FedEx. And so, and we'll do fresh or frozen, whichever they want.
Brittany, this is a little off here, but I always ask, I wrote a business book. It's behind my shoulder right there. And I talk in one of my chapters about your business personality. You can't be everything. You're a farm. So are you a farmer? Are you a process person? Are you a promotions person? Or are you the money person? Give yourself a grade on all those. Give yourself a grade on the farmer.
So I got asked one time in an interview for the pharmaceutical company, what tool in the toolbox would you be? And I'm literally the Gerber multiplier tool because I'm,
I'd call that a Leatherman, by the way. I'm a
Leatherman. Yep. So it depends on what minute of the day is what I do. I wear a million different hats. So first and foremost, I'm the farmer. I set the programs, but we have a team of people that we set up our programs, and we make sure that they follow everything that we want, and I check on the birds. And but then I wake up, and at 8 a.m. I become an HR person because maybe somebody didn't come in to work that day, so then we got to get their workload covered. And then I become an analyst because I do production planning. So I have to analyze sales from last 3 weeks to last 3 weeks last year to the next 3 weeks of last year. So then we have to place our schedule out for what we're going to do. And then we have to figure out how we're going to sell it. And is it at the right price? And so then I put on my marketing hat. Yeah. And then you look at sales, and then I'm become the finance person with our controller and decide which bills we're going to pay daily. And so it's a lot. Yeah. That's why I have these gray hairs.
Yeah, it is a lot. And your brother's involved in the business still?
Not anymore. I bought out his interest in 2013.
Oh, okay. So and you're the only, are you the owner?
I am the owner. I'm the mother hen. Yeah.
You're the mother hen. There's no, and then from the business standpoint, and then we're going to get into some other things. From the business standpoint, do you have investors? You're privately held, and it's just Brittney?
Just Brittney. My husband, when COVID hit, I gave him 6% of Manchester because I didn't want it. We had a will and everything, but I didn't want anything get stuck in probate for him not to be able to make decisions had I gotten COVID and died. Okay. But otherwise, I'm sole owner. We have a banker that's in the ag business that we have a line of credit with. Yeah. And we have small long-term notes for some properties that we bought or built, equipment, real estate.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a fair amount of capital deployed. Okay, if you're in dairy or beef, obviously cows are worth $4,000 or something right now, $3,500. You don't have that much per animal, but I'm guessing you talk about 400
more animals.
You talk about the equipment that's shipped over from Italy to help you eviscerate, birds. Yeah. You've got a lot of capital at play right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's millions of dollars.
Of course. Yeah. Yes. more than just a couple. What about then the eggs? And then we'll talk about then more of the business side of it. The eggs that some of them get incubated and made into chicks. Yep. But you don't need all of them for that. So I think commercial egg laying barns are like 92%. I think I've been told once, like if you got 100 birds in there, hens, you'll get 92 eggs per day on average or something like that. So is it a similar thing with quail?
So our hens will lay about an egg every 36 hours. Okay. So yeah, it's almost 24 hours, but it's 36. Okay. So, yeah.
And so some of those eggs, do you have some of those eggs that you say these are the best hens to make more chicks, and then these are going to be eggs that go to quail eggs?
Yes. So when we collect the birds to come back to the plant to be harvested and celebrated, we have a team of people that use old world technique, your eyes, your hands, you touch and feel, and look at the healthiest birds, the happiest, the healthiest birds, and we select those birds by hand to be either breeders, a male, female, to make fertile eggs, or layers, which the hen will just lay eggs with no male present, so they're infertile.
And those are to be eaten as quail eggs.
That's right. Those are what we consider our table eggs for consumption.
And obviously, you're keeping back, like you said. Now, these are not the same ones that go to get made into meat. They're raised a little differently, right?
That's right. So they stay on farm and start laying within about 2 weeks. And then the hen is still
They're only 2 weeks old when they start beginning to lay eggs.
Well, when we select them on the back dock at 6 weeks old. So they're at 8 weeks old. So we start them back at 0 when they go to the laying farm. And so within another 2 weeks, she'll start laying eggs, but she'll produce smalls, bigs, double yolks. And so it's pretty inconsistent. So another 2 weeks, she starts kind of our selected eggs is what our mainstream eggs are. So in 4 weeks,
so all the oddball eggs, they have a secondary market also? They get thrown into a grinder and become cat food or something?
No, they go to a different marketplace. It's at 4 weeks, we can call them kosher because they've not had a male present. And so we have a kosher, a halal and kosher mainstream market. And then we have a reduced value that we put in smaller eggs. And that goes to different marketplaces around the country. And then we have our extra large eggs, the jumbos that are just sold out of our office and out of our processing facility. We can't find a package to fit those eggs because the chucker egg containers are too big. The duck eggs are too big, but our jumbo eggs are just not big enough. And so we don't want them to break in transit. So we just sell them locally.
So quail eggs, again, I think of chefs. I think of something that's using that, or Japanese. It seems like maybe it's a sushi place or something. Where do these quail eggs go?
So they are sold mostly in retail. Quail and quail eggs have been eaten for thousands of years.
Yep.
And I've heard the story that there's a Japanese emperor that got sick, and his doctor said, if you eat quail for 30 days, you'll be healed. And I don't know if it goes back to biblical reasons, but these little birds and eggs are these little superfoods. Mm-hmm. They have all the nutrients, minerals, vitamins that you can imagine. And people that are ill, it fills the void and heals them. So this Japanese emperor ate quail for 30 days and he was healed. So he told all of his people, you must eat quail every day just to stay healthy.
Okay.
And so when we first got into the egg business, there was a guy that came in and he was buying those jumbo eggs, 180 a month. And then finally we were like, what are you doing? And he said, I buy them for my dogs. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if I feed them to my dogs, they don't have allergies. They don't scratch at their paws and bite at their paws and their coat is really healthy. So then we were like, there's got to be something more to this. So we went to the internet and looked and Googled health benefits of quail eggs. And boom, there's thousands and thousands of white pages and studies of health benefits of quail eggs. And so in the U.S., traditionally, you would find them in Asian markets or, because of the Japanese story, because that's kind of a heritage. And then at the sushi restaurants, you're right. But for us, we sell 95% of ours to grocery stores. Costco is a dear partner of ours. We got into business with them over COVID, actually. Yeah. And but the mainstream grocery stores are now all starting to pick it up, which is great. So
when you talk about dealing, let's talk about the business side of it. You said Costco is a valued business partner of yours. There's this thing, and this goes back a long time ago. I remember a guy came to my Purdue class in agricultural economics and talked about, it was an entrepreneurial guy. I loved it because I'm entrepreneurial myself, but he had this product. I don't know what it was. I mean, it doesn't matter. And he thought it'd be fantastic to get, I don't know, the Walmart account or the Kmart account or whatever it would have been back in 1990 that was the big retailer. And then it ends up you become a slave to them because they think you need their shelf space so badly. They just keep pounding you on what they will pay you. And that's the dilemma. It's neat to make more eggs and sell them at Costco. But does Costco then say, oh, by the way, Brittney, we're going to pay you 10 cents less a dozen next year because we can?
I have not had that experience. They've been fantastic to work with. And most retailers, I mean, we're not a commodity product. We're a specialty product. So there's not that price elasticity that you want to talk about in the competition. We do a really strong job of making sure that we produce it at a value for the consumer and, penny profit for us. So we're trying to be responsible to the product and the protein, but we've teamed up with really good retailers across the country that most of them, we've done business with Walmart and Sam's Club. And when we did business with them, they want to have the best value in the marketplace, and they also charge less margin than other retailers so that they can produce it and sell it for less on the shelf. But we've not really been put the screws like some people have. And I think it's the industry that we're in and the product that we're in.
Well, that's the other thing I'll go with. This is the fun part of this. I mean, as we're recording this, your government just announced that they're going to throw $12 billion at agriculture, and a bulk of it's going to go to corn, soy, wheat, rice, a couple other crops, right? Cotton, sorghum. And I get it. I'm around this business my whole life. But at some point, we've got commodity production pretty well figured out, right?
Yeah.
And there's room out here in these niches. Now, granted, you have commoditized quail. It's not like your father out there with his pin and a paring knife on the kitchen on a picnic table anymore.
Yeah.
But there's this thing, and then somebody's going to say, "Well, I'd grow quail, but I don't know who'd eat it." I mean, it's kind of chicken or the egg in this thing. This grew organically, and I'm not saying organic food product. I'm saying it grew organically for you over the last 50 plus odd years. And, it's a neat story. And is there room for 50 more quail producers? Probably not, because there's a certain amount of quail or quail eggs that are going to be eaten. And while that might go up a little bit, whatever it goes up by, Manchester Farms, your operation, can probably satisfy the increase in demand.
You'd be surprised. We probably are not on 10% of the retailer stores right now on their shelves because quail eggs are so new to the marketplace. I mean, new like within the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
There are regional producers, and I get calls all the time from people that want to go into business for themselves. And when you're in the farming world, you manage risk, right? Risk and change. And so I get calls all the time. And they're like, "Can you help us?" And I'm like, "Go for it. Let's see how you do." And then they'll call me like 6 weeks later and they're like, "All my birds died," or "They're not producing eggs," or what, and I'm part of this group on Facebook, and it's, farming is hard. There's a lot of things that you have to realize. And we've been good at doing it because we've done it for 55 years. It's like that commercial.
And you've made the mistakes.
We've made the mistakes. We've learned what works and what doesn't.
Talk about the risk. If I'm a dairy producer and the dairy milk price goes in the tank,
sell your cow in and out.
There's usually a federal program that kicks in, just like this thing with the bailout and all this.
Yeah, subsidies.
Is that happening for quail, or are you just out here dangling in the wind?
No.
There's no crop insurance. There's no indemnity. There's
mailbox money.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get mailbox money. No. If we have a loss, we have to take it on the chin. But we do have coverage for any mortality issues, like if a tornado came through and blew one of the barns away. In fact, I was just right before this call, I was just doing our calculations and numbers. And you have to get down to the noodle of it, of what is the value of the bird on day 5 and day 6 and 7 and 8 and 9.
So, but here's the thing. So yeah, a tornado or a barn fire wipes out your barn, and you got the obviously the property. You've got the damage to the building, which is insured, and then you also say, but there was $500,000
in bird.
There's $300,000 worth of birds in that got whacked in that. But that's not like crop insurance that's paid for by taxpayers. This is paid for by you.
Straight out of our pocket. Costs like $125,000 a year for the policy.
Just for the policy on bird coverage.
Just for the policy on the birds, and the eggs,
On a business standpoint, then, is there room for growth?
Yes, there is.
And are you expanding?
Yes, every day we are expanding. We, as people, I think, probably when Food TV Network came on board about 15 years ago.
Which thing?
Food TV Network. They came on board, and all these chef demonstrations and cooking shows and whatnot. Yeah. People became more adventuresome with their palate, and they learned more about foods like kimchi. I mean, Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts hit their whole craze. And then I do sauerkraut. I love making sauerkraut. And then someone told me a decade ago, he said, you ought to be selling that because the fermented food is really hot. I wasn't aware. Yeah. And Quail has ridden that popularity gain a little bit.
Yeah. It's the egg side of it has been tremendous. The meat side of it's more of a mature business for us for 50 years. But, new restaurants come on board every day. We have a lot of James Beard winning chefs that are friends of ours and Michelin chefs. And when they put on their menu that they're branding Manchester Farms Quail, other chefs see it and then they put it on their menu. And then, it becomes more popular. And then the consumers at home watch the TV shows and then they go, oh, I saw TV Quail in that and it won that dish in that competition. So maybe I'll try it now.
Yep.
But on the egg side of it, it's been exponential growth year over year over year. It's crazy.
That's fantastic. You have a hard time getting labor?
I think, we call ourselves flock members. Agricultural farming is tricky to get full-time committed people. So we have a lot of passion and respect for our flock members that we work with, and we're blessed. We have people that have been with us.
Do you use
all of our lives.
H2A or any of that program?
No.
Okay.
We're not allowed to do H2A as seasonals, and we're year-round, so we don't have access to that either. So it's just our neighbors that we have with us, and we have people that have been with us for 40 years. I just went to a funeral last month. And
at some point, they're almost like a family. And
they are family, yeah.
And and this is the other one. You're kind of specialized. I'm guessing there's a little bit of a premium to the actual labor for some of this stuff, like you talked about. Some of this stuff is not just like going and screwing a nut on a bolt.
No, yeah. I mean, the butchery where we debone our quail, that's an actual craft, and so it's like a butcher in a steakhouse or at a meat cut, at a meat facility. You have to be precisioned. These top chefs expect us to have the same perfect cut every single time. Right. And one thing that we do different than other quail producers is we grade out any imperfections. So everything that we send out in our meat side and also on our eggs have been triple graded. And so we do command a premium in the marketplace, but every chef knows and every consumer knows that they're all going to be perfect because we won't put our brand on it in the marketplace if it has torn skin or bruise or something imperfection.
Right.
And so
it's the old thing. It's the average. It's again. I sometimes people in ag have a commodity mindset. Well, I can't believe they get that much for it. They charge that much for it. I'm like, it's because the consistency of the quality and the perception that has happened because of is not word of mouth. It's word of reputation, well earned, right? That like you said, there's a reason that these chefs say, yeah, we're paying a premium because the damn thing comes in here and it's perfect. Perfect.
Every single time. And I counted one day that, I think for both sides, the eggs and the meat, that it touches a different set of hands, like 7 to 8 times before it's into a package.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does?
A lot of care.
What does? Can you tell me? What does a bird? So, like you said, some of them don't even make it. You got to call the bads, but when they're born. What are we talking about? Is it a couple bucks a bird?
Yeah, our average price is about $3 a bird processed.
That you receive.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you go and buy Bob White's on the internet to ship to your house to hunt, they call it put and take. Yeah, you're selling for like $6-7 a bird, and I'm like, my God.
Yeah, you're selling one that's processed for $3.
These are ready to cook. Yeah,
you're selling one that's ready to cook for $3. But if a person wants to bring in Bob White's to let them loose out in their prairie grass to shoot them, they're paying double that. What about the actual product? Then, is it a white meat? Is it a dark meat?
I call it a medium. It's not white, but it's not dark either. It's kind of like not thigh meat on a chicken, but it's more of a sweet meat and super tender and juicy. But it's not white, but it's not red meat like duck, and it's not true dark meat like leg meat and thigh meat on a chicken.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Interesting. What else did I not ask you about this whole quail business? Because I find it to be very interesting.
So on the eggs, the thing that we've been hearing from a lot of people is how they're healing themselves. My dad started eating raw quail eggs about 10 years ago, and he's survived 5 heart attacks. And he holds the winning award of like 35 stents in his heart. He's got stents inside of stents. And since he's been eating quail eggs, he's not had any heart issues. And so his cardiologist was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I don't believe it. And my dad was like, I know I'm eating quail eggs every day. I eat 3 every day, raw. And so they put him back on the table just to look in his veins and arteries again. And the guy that did the last stent inside of a stent did the procedure, and he was like, Bill, don't change what you're doing. Your heart, your arteries are wide open. He increased his pumping value from his heart. He should have been dead a long time ago at like 26%, but now he's at 41. And so, and it's just the eggs. And we've had people that, like, there's books, quail eggs for heart disease, quail eggs for diabetes. And I think it goes back to the emperor, that these eggs are so dense in nutrients and vitamins and minerals that they heal people differently. Like, we have a guy that was, he actually went into the quail business himself. I gave him 1,000 birds to start. And, but he was colorblind, and he started eating eggs, and he got his color vision back. I mean, it's the gospel.
I'm colorblind, by the way, Brittney, and you're gonna really tempt me on that one. I might be a little suspect on that one. The other stuff I'm good with, but by God, it's worth a try.
I'll send you the eggs, and I'll send them to you, and you eat them every day, 3 a day. You can eat them hard boiled or fried or whatever you want. My dad does them raw because that's the best nutritional value. But let's talk in 6 months for sure. And I want to see, go do your blood work before you start doing all this, and then do your blood work in 6 months and see what changes. Your LDL and your HDL ratio will get better and stuff.
Interesting.
Although I'm not a doctor, and this is not medical advice.
No, right.
Do your own research.
But you are good. You are a good Clemson Tiger, School of Agriculture. What about, like you said, the growth category? That's probably where it is. It's probably, the growth area is probably on the eggs. I mean, but
and pets. Pets are the other half of we probably sell half of our eggs to pet people, reptiles, dogs, cats.
Right.
So the pet industry is in fact, I went to the grocery store to buy some eggs of my own, and the lady was like, what do you do with them? And I said, well, I eat them. She said, well, you're the first human that's buying them for the humans. Everybody else is giving them to their dogs and cats.
Are they feeding those raw, or are they feeding them cooked?
Raw, yeah.
Raw.
Yeah, and some of the dogs will eat the shells. Our dogs have gotten spoiled. They know that they have an unlimited supply. So,
last question: Does Tyson or Purdue come along and buy Manchester Farms in another couple of years, and they say, you know what, that Britney, she's pushing 60 years old, she's probably ready to be done, and we're going to go ahead and diversify into quail eggs and quail meat? Do you think that happens, or does this remain more in a model like you have it?
I think as it grows, it's going to garner more attention from other producers that want to get into this space. It's a specialty, not highly competitive marketplace, and I would suspect that they're going to take looks at it. They'll watch the Nielsen data and the IRI data, and they'll see the numbers growing. And once we get on the shelf, we typically stay on the shelf. And so
that's great.
Yeah. I mean, there's more place for us to grow, and not that I'm trying to encourage competition, but I mean, Tyson is,
I think you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Got it. Her name is Brittney Miller. She's awesome. The company is called Manchester Farms. If you want to learn more about their products or buy their products, can a person just buy their products off your website, or do they have to go to retail?
Yeah, Manchester Farms online. I'll admit our website sucks, so I apologize for that now for everybody.
That's a new objective for the new year. Yeah. All right. And speaking of the new year, you know what? I really appreciate you being with me. And again, we're in our 9th year now of producing these shows. We couldn't do it without you being a listener. So I'm putting this here at the holiday time, and I want to wish all of you a very happy new year. We also want to thank our sponsors. Remember our friends at Newfields Ag. I'm wearing the shirt right here, Newfields Ag. Been with me all of 2025. Our friends over at Redox, and also our friends at Harvest Returns. So thanks so much for being here, Brittney. This has been a great discussion.
Oh my gosh, thank you, and congratulations on such success. People don't understand what it takes to put food on a plate, and you're shining a light on it, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
And I am excited. I'm going to try some quail and some quail eggs, and maybe get my color vision back one of these days. Anyway, until next time, thanks for being here. She's Brittney, I'm Damian, and this is The Business of Agriculture. Hey, sincere thanks for joining us here on another episode of The Business of Agriculture. I want to ask you, if you farm, are you looking for more productive efficiencies to grow higher yielding, better performing crops? Well, of course you are. Newfields Ag provides a complete portfolio of biological products focused on you, the farmer. If you want to learn more about the Newfields Ag product lineup, go to newfieldsag.com for information.